If you look at map of Africa, it itself is indicative that Africa is a sign of interrogation in real uh, picture or its shape. And it remained a dark continent for centuries and centuries because of their tribal culture and whatnot. And then subsequently, its history is also most of the time unpleasant or made unpleasant because of certain obvious factors. लेकिन इसके बावजूद जो बात समझने की है वो ये कि अफ्रीका में बहुत ज्यादा पोटेंशियल मौजूद है। बर्र-ए-आज़म अफ्रीका के अंदर पोटेंशियल को समझने के लिए, इसकी स्ट्रेटेजिक अहमियत को जानने के लिए आज का ये हमारा सेशन, जो कि इस पूरी गुफ्तगू को लेके चलेगा रिसर्च की तरफ, जैसा कि हमारे लिए अनचार्टेड टेरिटरी है, हम ज्यादा जानते नहीं, और यही बदकिस्मती रही कि किसी तरह से भी मुख्तलिफ जगहों पे जहाँ पे पॉलिसीज बनाई जाती थी, या पाकिस्तान की अफ्रीका पॉलिसी या पाकिस्तान के ताल्लुकात अफ्रीकी मुल्कों के साथ, उसमें भी खासे गैप्स नजर आते हैं। लेकिन इसके बावजूद समझना ये है कि हम कहाँ खड़े थे, कहाँ हैं, और इसमें रिसर्च या तालीम के हवालों से किस तरह से काम हुआ या नहीं हुआ, या क्या हो सकता है, और किस तरह से आईपीएस के इस प्लेटफॉर्म को हम कैटलिस्ट के तौर पे इस्तेमाल करते हुए आगे चल सकते हैं। Having said that, as I said, Africa has got enormous potential and strategic importance. It is not surprising for anyone that it has got a collective GDP of more than US $3.4 trillion, according to calculations of 2018 and 19. And it is an import market of 500 billion plus US dollars. And this land, this entire continent is rich in natural resources, oil and gas research and new oil discoveries, which make Africa, quote unquote, world's storehouse of strategic raw materials. And this were also the main reason for the colonial powers to come and colonize this land. Africa has got a number of developed economies, I must say, and at the same time, the fastest growing economies. Their number comes somewhere between 20 to 30, those which have already developed, and the fastest growing 15 economies. And then, of course, we are looking opportunities in Africa, whether it is in the form of political, economic, strategic, people-to-people contacts, research, and in broader economic terms, a strategic community, how it could be formulated, and vast and enormous opportunities in the Africa continental free trade area. So all these are just a few examples to be taken care of even in our research projects. It is known to everyone that the three largest commercial partners in the subcontinent, you may disagree, you can come up with your own opinions, are China, the European Union, and the United States of America. And these countries, along with Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, India, and some other countries, are now trying to create their places in the African continent in the 21st century. But Africa, because of its legacy of the colonial past, suffered a lot. During the decades of imperialism, the industrializing powers of Europe viewed Africa as reservoirs of raw materials, labor, and slave trade from the 16th to the 19th centuries. And as the 20th century ensued, only two countries in Africa, these were Ethiopia and Liberia, had independent governments. 97% of Africa, unfortunately, by 1913 was colonized. What an irony of fate. Uh, Between 1945 and 1960, 3 dozen new states in Asia and Africa achieved autonomy and independence from their European colonial rulers. Pakistan wholeheartedly extended principled moral, material, and diplomatic support to freedom struggles and the right of self-determination to the people of Africa in the 1950s and 1960s. And even we have had the honor of giving diplomatic passports to the Algerian leaders in exile. So, I mean, Pakistan stood Africa in those decades of 50s and 60s as a solid rock. एंड इसी से हमारे उन ताल्लुकात की इब्तदा भी हुई जिसे बाद में चल के हमने पाकिस्तान के इब्तदाई 4 दहाइयों में यानी 1950 से लेके अगले 40 साल तक तो हमने इस ताल्लुक को, इस दोस्ती को बड़ी अच्छी तरह से निभाया, लेकिन उसके बाद फिर अचानक से ताल्लुकात कम होना शुरू हो गए. Well, Africa is the continent of future. These are not my words, these are words coming from within the African continent as well as the outside forces. And friends of Africa are those who look Africa otherwise. But it is true that there are now 55 sovereign states which are members of the African Union, but the total number of African countries is 59, including certain island countries which are still under the control of the British and French rule. Its population is more than 1.3 billion, out of which more than 41% are Muslims. And this presence of Muslim, this share of Muslim population went up, came down, and it is somewhere now over 41%. In the past 4 decades, after the creation of Pakistan, the successive governments made some good efforts in the right direction to enhance Pakistan's political footprint, visible clout, diplomatic presence, active outreach, and economic cooperation, and robust peacekeeping and defense collaboration with the African countries. So after extending our wholehearted support to freedom struggles and self-determination, the second important phase which in our history is quite prominently visible is our role in the UN peacekeeping forces and operations in the African countries. And this peacekeeping operation is going on, have been carried out since 1960 till today, and I'm sure that Dr. Tughril Saab will be in a better position to talk because this is his specialized field. And Pakistan at one point in time had 27 embassies in Africa, which number came down due to certain economic constraints and political considerations are Pakistan's other stakes. At one point in time, our number of embassies in Africa was just 10, 12, which is right now 15 Pakistan embassies and high commissions working in African continent, and 12 African countries are having their embassies in Pakistan. This has nothing to do with today's discussion on research, but of course, there is an understanding, a realization within government that we should engage with Africa in a better and proactive and robust way. That is a long way to go. I will not comment on that much because there are so many slips. If I keep just trade volume of the African continent and its international trade is somewhere over 1.075 trillion, it will be more in the 2019 and 2020. And unfortunately, Pakistan's share in this total trade is around US $4.3 billion. which is just nothing as per our potential or what we can do as a vibrant country of 220 million people and its different strong areas of cooperation. So there is not much to be envying. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is thinking to increase its number of embassies in Africa from present 15 to another 10 in the next 5 years and another 5 in the next 4 or 5 years. That is a far cry. Let us see how does action is taken because of certain constraints back home. Well, today's this seminal and inaugural session, which is essentially an interactive brainstorming session, will provide guest speakers who are luminaries in their respective fields with an opportunity to suggest a lot and set the tone of this brainstorming session, which is going to be the harbinger of so many such events, inshallah, in the future. And this platform of IPS will be used as a catalyst to open that door of research, which to the best of my information, remained to a bare minimal level in the last 73 years. Uh, Before participating in this session, I was sharing it with Khalid Rahman Sahib that I had been looking for some books in libraries in Islamabad, specifically on Pakistan-Africa relations. I did not get one. Likewise, I was looking how many research papers or thesis or, someone has done PhD in African affairs, but to my utter disappointment, there was nothing substantial other than a few research papers sitting here and there, just giving very fundamental information about Africa and not the real substantive research which we are looking forward. So this brainstorming session I am opening this floor for ideas pouring in from which we can make the best use. And of course, other options and proposals, how these learned, distinguished panelists can come up to suggest some research areas are under the supervision of academia, scholars, and experts using the platform of IPS can move forward to carry out serious research on Africa and vice versa. And I'm sure it will be an opportunity for this research institution also to engage with research institutes and think tanks in African countries, those who can collaborate with us and come up with their brilliant ideas, so that it should be a two-way traffic from which we should be benefiting enormously. So we will be looking forward to have your brilliant ideas, views and comments, proposals and recommendations, so that this seminal session could lead us to explore the unfathomable depth of Africa as a continent and the countries with whom Pakistan has already established diplomatic relations, and also focusing on the Muslim bloc in Africa, which of course is going to set a better understanding and way of communication between IPS, our stakeholders, policymakers, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and on the other side, Africa as a huge continent. Thank you so very much for your patient listening.